I was thinking about getting one of those Elgato arms. And
the expensive ones, the new ones. How much are they?
Actually, 100. So they're
100.
Yeah, so they're not like that's
Not
pretty
that
much
bad.
in line with what I paid for like this Rode one. But
Yeah.
they had like a low profile one that looked like really cool. And that
the one stretches across.
Now I'm just like, I should.
It's sold out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The regular one's in stock, which maybe would be cool, but
Yeah,
I was kind of thinking for my setup now, it would be nice to have like a low profile one that just comes in like under, and then it's like.
Ironically, that's actually what I need to be able to put the microphone in a different place, which I think I don't know if it'd be better. Now, actually, be honest, this might just be the best I can get out of it. Well, let me look it up. The Rode, what is Rode mic?
Well, I'm looking at the Elgato one.
Sorry, Elgato. Sorry, Elgato.
Yeah, the new ones they released when they released like 50 products in one day, and I'm like, all this stuff looks so cool. And it's like, I don't want to buy anything though, because like I'm at a great point where it's like I feel like I really don't need to buy like any more stuff.
Right.
But then
but then it
people
looks
release
cool.
stuff. It's like I kind of want to get.
I don't see it on Amazon. If I just type in Elgato, like all the other ones,
I just be on like their website. Yeah, I see it on Elgato's website, and it's sold out.
Okay. Dang. All right. Well, I was looking at on the Zon to see if that was a thing. I missed the Dave's Dave. I told him to tweet me. He tweeted me like the day before. You can't do that. You got to tweet me to like right now. We're going live. Although to be honest, like iCave Dave, remember? I think it would have been difficult anyway because by the time I got home from church, like I think it was over. So I don't even know if I could have done it, because I'm on the West Coast, so it's earlier here. You have no excuse, but I do.
Yeah, I've been feeling off all day, and I remembered the tweet. I checked out his live stream for like a little bit, and he had some heavy hitters on. So I was like, I don't think
he us.
Yeah,
you don't need us.
You're talking to like John Prosser and like Luke Miani at the same time. So I'm like, I don't want to be me and be like, I'll come in on this. So I was like, oh, good.
Yeah.
But it seemed like a successful stream. I think he had like people throughout the whole stream.
Yeah, so it looks like it.
Hopefully he had a good one. We'll go on one day.
Yeah, we'll do a live stream someday. Not a lot of people.
I was feeling off all day. I almost canceled GadgetCast.
Oh,
you know what? I gotta be here.
The honesty, like we don't have a whole bunch to talk about. We can do a super short episode if we need to.
But I probably can't do the next one, so I should probably be here for this one.
That actually might be okay, depending on what's going on for me the next week. That might actually be okay. All right. Well, what we can do is we can start off. How we do a shorter episode or whatever. Not a lot of people in the chat. I saw that. Well, no, people did eventually show up on my live stream yesterday, but it took a long time, a lot longer than normal. So I think people are still just trying to get the last bits of summer, I guess, is what's going on.
I assume.
Before Techtober happens.
It's a full swig. I think I went to an event yesterday. I mean, I should probably save all this for the pod. No, I don't think people want to hear why I'm sick on the podcast.
Yeah, they do. Of course they do. Because I'm like, why does he sound sick? Of course they will. Welcome, Steve. Just started listening to our past last weekend. Is the first time watching.
Oh gosh, no, that's he just discovered us, and I'm already ruining it for everyone.
Let me cut this off. Let's get this banner going. Let's check all the. Oh, I actually kind of need to wipe.
Yeah,
this.
it's the Andrew. It's the USA. Yeah, the USA band for I guess for the Tokyo Olympics.
Okay, wipe that. Okay, wipe the card. Card's being formatted and good. Okay, now it's an empty card, so I can hit that record button whenever you're ready.
Yeah, let's go.
All right, let's record in the newest GadgetCast in 3, 2, 1, record.
Discovery's 4 computers now have primary control of critical vehicle functions.
3, 2, 1, 0, 0.
Hello, world, and welcome to the only podcast that doesn't fold under pressure, the GadgetCast. My name is Gregory McFadden, joined always with my co-host, Travis M.C. Hey.
Space travel.
I just say space travel.
You gosh darn right. Welcome, everybody, back to the GadgetCast. We are back this week because we said we would be back this week, and we like to keep our promises. As
We're
much as
under,
we can.
contractual obligation in this contract. I think, there's a certain number of shows I do have to fulfill. And, I'm trying to get that worked out into my contract. So I only have to stream once a month. But, I'm here. I'm not feeling 100%. I'm going to try and give you the best show possible because I am a professional. Despite what some people left in my YouTube comments, they said I wasn't professional enough. Yeah.
What? Wait, what? Okay, hold on. No, listen, I love. I had taken quite a long break off my YouTube channel. I've thrown up a couple of videos, more to come in the next couple of days. But I'm starting to finally get the hater comments. I haven't seen those in a long time. Those are fun. What kind of a comment did you get?
When I was doing like some of like those goofy intros, just having a bit of fun, and then someone left a comment going, "Oh, you should be more professional like Dave 2D. His content's way better than yours." And I'm like, okay.
Lord.
I'm just like, I'm not Dave 2D. I don't want to be Dave 2D. Dave 2D could be Dave 2D. I don't want to just, be Dave 2D 3D. I don't want to be Dave 3D.
So someone, I'm glad you said that. Someone left a comment on my older, the video I did with iJustine about the, trying the Mac for the first time. And I got a comment a couple times, but again, because I haven't been paying attention that much lately. It was basically the same thing, like, well, you should know how to do this. You're supposed to be a tech person. This is not hard. You should Google all the answers. I go, bro, if you pay attention to what the video was about, it literally was someone trying it for the first time with no knowledge. That's literally, I said, if I did it the other way, it would have been one of 1,000 videos you've already seen before. And I'm like, that's the point of the video. And they were like, okay.
I got the same feedback when I did a video like yours. I kind of stole your idea with Windows 11. I've obviously used Windows in the past, but it's been a long time since I've used Windows on like my main machine. And I tried using Windows 11 and I did the same thing. I wanted to go in completely blind. I know I could like Google a lot of these answers, but I was trying to give a perspective of like, what's like a user coming into this? Like, what are the things they're looking for? And what are some of like the annoying problems? And it's like, oh, it's really hard to like get like a natural like screen recorder on Windows. And people are like, why didn't you download this program or that program? It's like, well, yeah, I guess, but it's kind of like interesting to be like, well, why doesn't this have this feature pre-installed?
Yeah, because those videos exist. And Renee says something that actually is something I've been saying for about almost 2 years now. It's like, give attention to people who give you constructive feedback. I actually take it to another level. I say, and don't reward the negative attention seekers. So for me, it's even more easy than that. It is, for every moment that you give attention to someone who's like a hater, you're taking away a moment you could be giving to someone who's been supporting you that entire time, which, it's funny whenever I talk to creators and they're talking about like haters and stuff, and I tell them that, it's like clicks something in them, like, holy crap, you're right. Like, there's people in your comment section that are in your videos all the time. And those are people that, you want to support. But some little drive-by hater will say something and you'll reply to them instead of talking to the other person. So, it's human nature, but yeah, I try to keep that in mind and think, anytime I'm taking time away from someone who supports me is bad time. It's not worth my time to do that, but yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I try and spend most of the time on the people who like my stuff. So yeah. I never seem to get constructive criticism though. It's either like people are like, I love your stuff, or it's like, you're the worst thing on YouTube. So I would like something in between sometimes of I don't know. I would appreciate constructive criticism if I got it, but it's usually not. It's usually like, why does your face look the way it does? I can't help with that.
I don't have no choice over it. Yeah, it's like, come on, bro.
I can get the plastic surgery, I guess, but we're gonna have to do like a Patreon. Hit the $1 million Patreon goal. I'll get the plastic surgery, and it'll be Greg's Gadgets 2.0.
So I do want to talk about something before we get into all the Samsung crap, which is looking at my own channel, realizing that I knew coming back it was going to be a slow grind back to having normal views, and I'm still not there yet. And I also knew that doing a lot of Android stuff was going to slow that down, but I wanted to kind of placate the people that have been saying, you're only doing Apple stuff, you're just an Apple boy. All right, fine, let me do a bunch of Android stuff and show you that I don't get views on anymore. Like, it just doesn't happen. But while I was doing all that and I was editing one of my videos on my iPad Pro, and what I talked to Greg this morning about, I think I'm gonna do a video about this. Something interesting happened on the iPad Pro with the newest version of LumaFusion 3.0. And it's not something I would have expected. And it actually makes me happier to have my iPad Pro now. So here's what happened. LumaFusion is the software that I use. My iPad Pro, the only reason I use it is to edit my videos on my YouTube channel. It's really the only reason I have it. And I bought the iPad Pro, the newer one, not just for my channel, but I was hoping that, it would be faster in rendering my videos. And it wasn't. I think it was 1 second or 2 seconds faster. I'll have to go back to my old video. Well, it turns out now, LumaFusion just had an update, and not only is the render speed faster than it was in 2.0, it's finally faster than the older version of the iPad Pro, which is really compelling. So I think I'm going to do a video about that today. I'm going to do that, Renee. I'm going to do that. What I think I want to do is I'm going to talk a little bit about how a simple software update has not only, just for reference, it halved the amount of time to export a video now, which is crazy. It used to take 12 minutes or so for my videos to export if my video was 10 or 12 minutes long. Now it takes like 5.5 to 6, which is insane. You don't see that type of performance jump. But what I asked Greg to do this morning, and he did it, and I'd love to hear more of your personal kind of your experience. Tell them what happened when I said, listen, I don't have my 2020 iPad Pro anymore, but I know you still had access to it. So I've been wondering, is it now faster than the older version of the iPad Pro? Because before 2.0, it really wasn't.
Yeah, so it's not like I did like a super scientific like test. Like Travis texted me this morning and said, "Can you do this for me?" And it's like, all right, I'll do this for you, but I don't want to do it. Like
I know that's why I try to be okay. Look, it doesn't have to be complicated. Just throw 10 minutes on there, chop it up a little bit.
I took like 12 minutes of footage. I didn't do like anything crazy. I didn't put transitions in. I didn't do color correcting. No special heavy effects. So. You can take this as maybe like the basic minimum speed ramp. Maybe you'll actually get better performance out of this if you're doing an actual full edit. But I just took 2 simple video clips, same clip, and did an export test on the 100 megabits, the extreme setting on a LumaFusion. Mm-hmm. And the M1 iPad Pro was about a minute faster. I think it was like 5 minutes and 45 seconds for the M1. And then the 2020 was 6 minutes and 42 seconds for exporting. So before, what Travis was seeing a 1 second difference, basically, negligible. Maybe he like pressed the timer, 1 second too late. Now you're actually getting a speed boost on the M1 iPad Pro. And that means obviously, LumaFusion is better optimized to take advantage of all that extra power it has. But maybe that also means you could see other improvements in that app just besides export times, because that's just that's one very, I don't even know what to call it. Like it's one feature, it's one speed improvement. It doesn't mean it's going to be the only speed improvement. Like I said, if you're dealing with like a lot of effects or transitions, maybe you'll see like smoother timeline performance and stuff like that too.
Well, what this does, because remember when the iPad Pro came out and I was doing the testing, and for those of you who listen and watch go, you're always doing video editing. Why are you doing that? Well, it's because other than gaming, which generally speaking, there isn't a huge difference between the generations, there's really no way to kind of judge the speed, if there's any kind of improvement of one device over another, because it's a sustained load on the processor. So that's a great way to test it. And before it was the same. So the big argument was we paid all this money for nothing. Well, now we've seen that an app update has now exposed that this, even though we knew on paper it was more powerful, we couldn't see it in everyday use. But now we see it in everyday use. And if more apps can do this, I'm now curious, well, what else can be done? Because this was one of my biggest complaints about this, was that there was really no difference between the two other than like the display, and that was kind of negligible. But now there is. And while you might go, well, that's only a minute, that's again, Greg is doing very basic level. We have no idea how much bigger the difference is. So I think I'm going to do a video about this today, put it out tomorrow morning, because first of all, I need these views, baby. I need these views. But more than that, I think it finally makes me feel like it makes sense. I feel like I made a good purchase now, because for me, time is money. I mean, first of all, getting the half time back just from the app upgrading is incredible. To like be able to export videos in half the time before is incredible. But the fact that I'm getting additional speed that's why I bought it. So now I feel like I got something out of my purchase.
Yeah, and it's an interesting problem for Apple's devices, which seem to be kind of reliant on optimization, even from like third-party developers, where like maybe in the traditional PC sense, the day one of getting like a new Intel chip or a new AMD chip, there's a bunch of benchmarks where you can kind of see the differences between like these processor upgrades or GPU upgrades that you're getting. Whereas with an iPad, because it is so heavily optimized, you need LumaFusion, the developers, to go in there and redo their app to actually get these speed improvements. And it's one of the reasons why I really think Apple kind of needs their own pro apps on the iPad, because if there was a version of Final Cut on day one of that M1 iPad Pro being released, Apple would have all the speed improvements there for you, and you could realistically see the difference. It would be like if Apple released the new M1 Max and Apple didn't have Final Cut and they relied on like Adobe with Premiere to see the speed improvements. And when Apple released the M1s, Adobe didn't have, I don't think, any of their apps ready to be optimized on day one. And I believe just like a month ago, Premiere Pro was finally updated to take advantage of the M1 processor. Mm-hmm. So a lot of these apps are, relying on like these optimizations and stuff like that. Some of them aren't. Some of them you might be able to see like the raw speed difference immediately. But I think Apple would have a much clearer message with the iPad Pro if they were able to point to their own professional apps and go, look how much faster it is to build out your code in Xcode, or look how much faster it is to render in Final Cut on this new chip. Whereas because they're relying on third parties, and because Apple likes to be secretive, even if they have partnerships with these third parties a lot of the times, it has to be on that developer's schedule where there's probably a lot less priority, rather than Apple's schedule, where obviously if there's a new iPad chip, they're going to make sure their software is optimized to really show you how much advantage you can take out of that powerful chip.
Well, Renee Ritchie in the chat is actually saying something that to me is more encouraging than maybe he realized. He said the only reason with rendering is that the rendering itself goes to the custom encode, decode blocks. If you want to hit the main course, which would be like the main improvement, you have to layer on a ton of effects. Maybe I'll layer some effects in my next video for it to render as well. And he says that the code and decode blocks don't change as much generation to generation as main cores do, which is about 20%. That's a good thing, because we've already seen a 20% increase over the 2020 version. And then if we put more stuff, so essentially what Renee's saying, without probably even realizing he's saying it, is that if you put a bunch of extra features on top of this video, you might even see more performance, which is I'm finally excited about it. Like, this is the first time I can look at something and go, okay, I actually felt like there's now a difference. You can see it. There's a minute or so difference between the 2020 and the 2021. Again, you might think that's not a lot, but consider time is money, and you add that every time you do a video. If you do more complicated stuff, maybe it becomes 2-3 minutes. We don't know, because I don't have access to be able to do this. But over time, there's one commodity you can never get back. It's time. You can always make more money. You can always get more friends, whatever. You cannot get time back. So for me, even though it was an app update, which by the way had nothing to do with Apple, it's not like they updated. It's not like these are on the new iPad OS or anything like that. It wasn't an Apple thing. This was an app developer that updated their app, and whatever they did to do it made a huge difference. So it's exciting times, I think. And if we see other apps with the ability to do that, then maybe we'll see some more professional level apps that we've been talking about for the last half a year at this point now.
I would really like to see that. I mean, I really don't use the iPad Pro for video editing, so Travis would be the source to go to on that for all the improvements and stuff like that. But I will say, when I was reviewing the M1 iPad Pro when it came out and comparing it against the 2018 and 2020 version, there were other areas that I was disappointed in the performance, because I think due to a lack of optimization from developers. I should go back and test a lot of these things now. Now that we are a couple months in, it looks like developers are optimizing it. But like even for gaming, I was playing Call of Duty Mobile on the M1 iPad Pro, and the graphic settings on like an iPad are pretty simple. But there's like an option for like high frame rate or like highest end graphics. And on the 2020 iPad Pro, you could pick either the highest frame rate or the highest graphics. You couldn't have both selected. So I thought with an upgrade to the M1, basically like 2 chip generations of where the A12Z was, I thought I'm going to be able to load up Call of Duty Mobile. It's going to be a very simple test. I'm going to show people I can do highest graphics and highest frame rates, no problem. And I couldn't. It still wouldn't let me select having the max settings on the game, which I don't think that's like the case, because the M1 GPU wise is pretty competent. So I was surprised to see that.
Let's find out. I'm downloading it right now. So during this podcast, we will have the answer to whether or not of course, it was an app update, so it doesn't even matter about iOS 15. Then iOS 15 will be a whole nother ball. By the way, how has your iOS 15 experience been so far?
Mine?
Yeah.
Who else? Good in the sense that like it's been pretty stable overall, and the features have been okay. I just really don't like the changes they've done to Safari, especially on the phone in iOS 15. And I've been like really struggling with that. I think I'm not on the latest beta for the iPhone. I still have to update to like the latest beta, but every change they've made to Safari, I feel like they're just trying to like band-aid it over and over and over again. And we're about like 1 month out from new iPhones where this new version of iOS has to ship. I really hope, especially in Safari, I think that's like my biggest complaint. I hope they don't ship this. Like, I hope they revert everything.
Really?
And go back to iOS. Yeah, I'm not a fan. I'm really
of Safari specifically?
Safari specifically, which is like an app I use all the time on my iPhone. Yeah. And it's like moving the address bar down to the bottom. There's a lot of website elements that like you go to tap something and it's like it'll tap into the address bar, and it's like, no, I'm trying to hit this. And it's like, I get Apple's philosophy here of like, yeah, we're going to make it easy to use in one hand. Your thumb's always on the bottom of the screen, so it's easy to hit the address bar. It's easy to get to all the controls. I get that. But you know who figured that out years ago was website developers, and they have like a lot of their controls at the bottom. So now you have two conflicting areas of where to tap. Like, good luck trying to change all that. Good luck trying to get every web developer, like every website, to be optimized to Safari when it's not the leading web browser. People are more concerned about being optimized for Chrome. So I think it's a bad decision. I really hope they change it. I really don't like the changes to it. But other than that, everything else in iOS 15 is good. It's not like it's like a huge major upgrade.
That's interesting.
But Safari, I have major complaints about.
I think the public beta is out now, so if you're interested in checking that out, you can go check it out.
You want to? I guess you could check it out. It's not on your main device. I would still. I don't know. It's been stable, but it's always iffy. Like, you never know if you're gonna have like a problem, or like your banking app isn't gonna work or something like that.
Yeah, it's not something you should have to worry about.
Yeah. The other changes though are like interesting. I just haven't like used them realistically other than like testing them. Like the FaceTime changes where you can like share stuff. Like, that's cool. Like, you can like watch stuff together or listen to music together. But it's not like something in my life that I'm really using right now. I'm not like calling up any friends like, hey, you want to watch this movie over FaceTime, or you want to listen to this song? And
I like that. I love that. I think that's so cool. I love that.
I do like it. And at a point in my life, I would have been using like those features like every day.
Yeah.
But at this point, there's no one I'm really like gonna call up and say like, hey, let's watch this. And again, that's not even because, oh, I'm not gonna use this feature. It's because any real world person I know is not on like iOS 15 beta, like, if I like want to like share something with my mom or something like that, I can't do that anyway right now. So it's kind of pointless. So I guess when it gets released, I'll have more opportunities to actually use a lot of these features. It's hard to beta test something like that because what am I going to do? Call up, Duke Miami and say, hey, you want to watch a video together? I should do that.
Yeah, we actually should do that. You should record it.
You want to watch something?
All right. So I'm going to put okay. So Max you can't put ultra frame rate because that's for multiplayer only. I don't want to play multiplayer. So you were saying graphic quality very high,
Mm-hmm.
and then yeah, you're right. If I do
Online
ultra,
too, right?
well, if I do so you can do graphic quality very high or frame rate very high, which is good, but you can't do max frame rate and graphic quality. That's really interesting.
And my main point with that is that those are the same settings you could do on the 2020 version. So why can't you do both on like the M1? I feel like it should be able to handle it if the 2020 can you know what I mean?
You can do very high graphic quality and very high frame rate, but you can't do max.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder why that is. It feels like, so what device can do that? That's
none. Yeah.
So that's just strange. So then why,
that's what I'm saying.
Have those options there? It's just kind of weird. All right, well, I'm deleting this anyway. I'm not going to play anyway. That is a very strange, so weird. And you're exactly right. You would expect that this, if there's any app, I guess it maybe for future proofing or something, I guess. I don't know. Very interesting. But let's talk about what Samsung's done this week. I actually didn't put money down. We'll talk about that in a minute. But Samsung announced their two new foldables, the Z Flip 3 and the Z Fold 3. It's kind of awesome. So some people are now weirdly, I see a lot of people are more interested in the Flip than the Fold. I actually got to see the Fold 3 at Best Buy yesterday, and I like it aesthetically better than 2, believe it or not, which is kind of interesting because they look very similar, but the rounded edges and just a couple of little things they've done, it looks and feels better to me. So I'm actually excited about getting mine. I did order mine. I ordered it through the YouTuber special, the 21 days no pay thing that Greg and I are calling it, the YouTuber special, where you can go on Samsung.com and not pay for 21 days. You get to try it out, and if you don't like it, you send it back. And we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm kind of looking forward to getting it and seeing, getting back over there again. I don't use Android very much anymore, but like I said in my review of the original, and I even did an Amazon renewed video on the Fold 2, just to remember like how cool that phone is. It is, at the end of the day, like to me, it's not like a phone. It's something more. It's more of a productivity thing. So I'm looking forward to the 3, looking for it. And I don't know about you, are you ordering either one?
So I like any pre-order nowadays, I put pre-orders in for both of them. I don't know if I'm going to end up canceling both of them. I feel like I kind of want to get the Flip again over the Fold. And the reason why I kind of want to revisit the Flip is because I tried out the first generation of that, but that's when it was at $1,400. So I really couldn't make a strong recommendation for it because at the end of the day, it folded into a more compact size. And then when you unfolded it, it was kind of like a worse phone, right? I think I saw this in your video with Andrew Edwards, kind of like, it unfolds into like a worse phone. This year, though, I really want to commend Samsung. The Flip 3 starts at $1,000, which means, in today's world, that's a normal phone price. They got a foldable phone in a pretty short amount of time, I think, faster than I thought, down to a normal phone price.
Yeah.
And like the specs and everything inside of it, it actually, it looks like it's just going to be a premium or a flagship phone, right? Like everything you'd want, like good cameras. And this time it'll flip. It's kind of got the same gimmick, but it's the same price as the other phone. So this time it makes a lot more sense. And I kind of want to revisit it going in with the perspective of, this is $1,000 phone. This is a normal phone that can now be compact, get you back into the flip phone days. And it has modern specs. It's got the latest flagship processor that you want, all this like great stuff with it at $1,000. Whereas with the Fold 3, I haven't seen one yet in person, but based on the event and based on what I've seen other people say, it seems like, the build quality is a little bit better. They might have made the wrong decision with the camera in the front display, but I really don't think that's too big of a deal considering there's like a bunch of other cameras you could use on that display, but probably only for video calls you use that front one, which is fine. But I think that one still has the problem of, even though it is $1,800, which is cheaper, it's still $1,800 for a phone. Granted, it's maybe it's worth that price for what it does, but I still don't think that's mass market appeal. Where the Flip, it has a shot. There's nothing really wrong with it at this point.
Yep. And if you look at all the trade-ins that Samsung's allowing you to trade in your phone and get a pretty good, I mean, at least decent trade-in values for some things, you bring it under 1,000. And if you get it through a carrier, most people are going to be paying through, monthly payments. And that's right in line with the other phones they've purchased recently, at least, only by a little bit maybe off. And even if it is a little bit more because they didn't normally get like a higher end phone, this one gives them something different. They are finally in the ball game with this one. And while 1,800 is still, it's still kind of high for the Fold, I think it's aimed at a different market. And I pointed this out in my video where the Flip is very definitely being marketed as a fashion kind of fashion forward phone. Like how many times they use these kind of words of like, fashionable and style and like all these words that are very much targeted at a very specific group of people that are not necessarily tech heavy. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's fine. I think they understand their market. Whereas the Fold, to me, is perhaps the Galaxy Note replacement. And while it's hard to replace the Note, if Samsung decides to not make any more Galaxy Notes, which we don't know that to be true, we just know it's probably not coming out this year, then this would be a worthy kind of replacement. I think the Note had kind of only become a slightly better than Galaxy S series phone, whereas before it used to just straight up be better. So I think that this, if we're looking at it from a strategic standpoint, they have their foldables, they have their normal flagship. They may be not doing as much confusion with kind of the Note series. We'll see what happens there. They're in not a bad place. And the fact that they did get this down in price, especially with the shortage in silicon and all these things, you can't even get a hold of anything anymore. The fact that they were able to bring it down in price is nothing short of amazing. So hats off to Samsung. I am looking forward to getting the Fold. I think what people are saying about the Flip is maybe to your point. While I think people are so interested in it, it's not just because the build quality has gone up, because the price has come down substantially. The Fold only kind of came down. The Flip came down.
Yeah.
And even though, like, just to your point, when it's unfolded, it's just a smartphone. It is slightly more than that now. And for the price, it's right there. Now you have to put it in. When someone goes, well, what type of smartphone you look for? Smartphone of the year? This literally could be up there just because price-wise, I don't think it gets itself priced out of the conversation.
No, yeah, it's again, before it was kind of more of like a curiosity of like, well, who's buying these like really expensive phones with worse features, right? Like honestly, like spec-wise, they were worse than whatever else you were selling from Samsung, and you had a lot of options there. And now it just becomes a regular phone that folds in half, and hey, that's enough, right? That's like a pretty cool feature if you're not really losing a lot on the phone itself. And they've made some other improvements too, with like the front display and stuff like that. It really does look like a really compelling phone. But Samsung's weird sometimes with like their website. I don't know, like the promotions there are really strange sometimes. Like I was ordering the Flip, and this is a good thing, by the way. I was ordering the Flip, and it was like, do you want the 128 gigabyte version or the 256 version? And for some reason on Samsung, they're doing like a thing where it's like, yeah, the 256 is the same price as the 128 when you order it. So it's like, okay, why wouldn't I get the 256?
Right.
It was some sort of like deal where like Samsung was like, yeah, we'll like give you $100 off if you order the higher storage tier. And it's like, all right, I'm going to do that then. And then one thing I really did like ordering this year from Samsung is they gave you a really significant amount of credit. I believe it was like $100 with each order to then spend on the Samsung store, which is important because these phones don't come with chargers in the box. The Fold 3 doesn't come with the S Pen. However, because you do get $100 in credit right at checkout, if you need a charging brick, if you need a cable, if you want to get the S Pen, it really is no additional cost to you if you are getting it from Samsung's website, which is really nice, is a nice way to go about it. You pick the accessories you need. I would love to see Apple do something similar to that. I guess they're not going to. They already did their charger out of the box move, and they never offered anything extra with that. But it was nice to see that, like, even though you're not getting these accessories in the box anymore, you can be more eco-friendly about it and then offer a credit and go, what do you really need? Do you really need another power brick? No, I don't. Do you need a stylus? Actually, I do need a stylus. Do you want to spend the rest of the credit on getting a Galaxy Watch. It's like, you know what? Maybe I'll do that instead. And even though Apple's not one to give freebies, Apple is in that territory now where maybe in the past they didn't have like a ton of accessories to offer alongside. Now they do. Now they got AirPods, they got an Apple TV, they got the Apple Watch. It might be something they want to look at, even if it's like a $50 credit, because maybe that increases your sales because everyone's like, you know what? I wasn't going to get the new AirPods, but now I will because I need to spend this credit or it's going to expire within like 30 days. So that would be nice to see.
And the Z Flip 3, $200. So I got like a big loadout of stuff on that too. So yeah, it's really crazy. And it's, I mean, it's a good thing on Samsung. So I don't know how that works financially for them. I don't know how that works out for them, but it definitely gets products out there. And an exciting time if you're looking for something that folds and flips or whatever, and you're trying to do something different. This is the time. We talked about that. This is probably the last kind of major product from Samsung this year. I mean, unless something weird happens, they just randomly come out with the Note at the end of the year, which we do not expect to happen at all. This is it. So you have your regular smartphone flagship at the beginning of the year, which is the S21, S21 Ultra, S21 Plus, and then now we have the folding series and flipping series. So that's it. If you are a Samsung fan, your options are out there. Of course, you have the mid-range stuff as well. Some great mid-range phones. I mean, maybe we'll see the S21 FE, which I would definitely be looking for. So we'll see. I mean, Samsung kind of came out and looked pretty good on these two new offerings. We'll see. Hopefully nothing weird happens with these devices and they work fine and we don't get any weird bending and breaks and just strange things. But keep an eye out for that.
I think that's behind us. And this year is really interesting because durability has always been the question. I think they've proven themselves with the last iteration that durability is kind of not really an issue here. And this year, they have the water resistance and dust resistance and everything. So you really got to commend Samsung for innovating quickly here. I think getting us faster to a point where with the first Fold, that was kind of a disaster. Very similar almost to the Note 7 situation where you're kind of like, wait a minute, are they going a little bit too fast here? Are they really going to be able to get a handle on this like newer technology? And then within the second iteration, or even with the Flip, the original Flip didn't have any problems, but with the second Fold, you really saw what I thought was a pretty drastic redesign for a second iteration that fixed so many problems. And now this third version is a refinement of that, which is basically what that needed. It was just a little bit more polishing. Yeah. And I think it's going to be, they said the orders were pretty high. I think it's going to be a compelling phone, both of these phones. I really think they're probably going to be, I think they'll be good sellers for Samsung. The only thing I'm not sure of for me personally is still that use case for the Fold. My problem with the Fold 2, strangely enough, wasn't really hardware. I really like the hardware a lot. It's just that I didn't think the software was optimized in tablet form. And then I thought when you used it as a phone, I think you had the same experience. It was kind of a worse phone. So what am I really paying for here? I'm not getting a great, again, technology is amazing. I'm not saying that. Don't come in and be like, oh my God, it's a folding phone. How could you say? I'm just saying, if I wanted to use a tablet, I felt like my iPad was 100% a better experience than what this thing offered.
100%.
And if I wanted to use a phone, any normal phone form factor was 100% a better experience.
Yeah.
And this thing needs to be on equal footing for both. It needs to be a great tablet. It needs to be a great phone. And it was kind of a better tablet, but not necessarily great. And the phone part was really weak to me because it was too narrow and too chunky. And I kind of just like, all right, I'd rather just go use a regular phone. And especially like during COVID, staying inside, it's like, there's my iPad sitting across from me on a desk. Do I grab the folding phone? I could just go grab my iPad. You know what I mean? It was kind of a bad test scenario for Samsung to be in anyway. And I think, Travis, which is going to be interesting, is in September, if we do get this iPad mini redesign, I wonder, it's like, would I rather just have an iPad mini and an iPhone for the same price as this Fold And would that not be a better
Yeah.
experience for me?
Bro, if that iPad mini comes out and it's anything like we've been talking about for a while, I'm so going to buy it. I'm going to make videos about it. And I'm going to it's going to be a love fest. I've always loved the iPad mini. So I hope it does come out. Yeah, it's interesting because I also know that I'm in a situation, same situation I was last year, where it's not going to be my primary phone. I'm pretty positive about that. Not because it's not great, but because I'm so now into the Apple ecosystem, I'm kind of trapped. I wish I could get out, but I don't think I can get out at the moment. Yeah, I think I would be able to get out if more people weren't iPhone, people that I deal with weren't on iPhone, because that actually was what kind of keeps me there, especially with iMessage and stuff. It just works out better. And now with my wireless CarPlay, I'm like, okay, I kind of like this. So it's hard for me. It's hard for me to get out at this point. I don't know.
I always feel like I sound like an Apple fanboy. And again, I think there's a bias there, but I really think out of all the companies, the only one that could really make the foldable phone great is just Apple from a software perspective. They could release the same exact hardware as Samsung, and if it was running iOS, that can unfold into an iPad. And because the iPad has a much better tablet experience than any of the other Android tablets, if it could just open up and you get LumaFusion like full screen on your iPad, like all the iPad apps that are super optimized for iPad, that would be the experience right there. That would be the winning feature for me. Yeah, and I really feel like Apple's the only company that could make this product work really well.
Yeah, as you say it, it's kind of weird to have this feeling, but as much as I like the fold, if Apple did come out with a folding kind of concept, I think I would actually get excited, which is weird for me to say because, but I think I would. I think if I'm being honest, a folding version that would be a phone and basically an iPad mini, I would be very excited about. I think I would, which is, I don't like that I just said that, but
it would really play to Apple's greatest strengths that they've spent all this time building up over like the last 10 years of having a good software experience on the tablet and a good software experience on the phone, where Android's main problem was that they kind of neglected the tablet experience from a software standpoint. And they never really got it to a point where you felt like it was something more than just like a bigger version of phone apps, I feel like. And the iPad has suffered from that a little bit, but the good apps on iPad that are good, there's enough of them, like LumaFusion, like Affinity Photo, to the point that like Apple could offer this thing, and because they have the software infrastructure to run iOS and iPadOS, I really think it would just be a good experience. I don't know. I'm with you. I hate to say it because all the innovation here is to Samsung's credit, but from a software perspective, in my head, I could just see that working so well, despite the fact that Apple does not have any folding phones.
Right.
And they probably won't have one for a couple of years if they ever have one.
Yeah. And I think they probably will at least give it a shot, mainly because of the way the Flip is being marketed. And I think that's the same market as Apple. That kind of fashion forward kind of market. I mean, it really is. And whether they want to even admit that or not, I think you just look at, a lot of influencers and a lot of people in that kind of way, and they were using iPhones for social media and stuff. It just would make sense. So I don't know.
Yeah. I think Apple will do it. I feel like at this point, you look at the phone and every company has pretty much mastered the phone, like we have so many different options. They're all pretty well polished to a point where the differences are kind of getting really minor. The differences really are in software for the most part. And, Apple is going to want to make something that goes beyond this eventually. Maybe that's augmented reality. Maybe they skip folding phones, but I feel like something in your hand, at least for the immediate future, is still going to be an important aspect of computing. I don't think AR glasses are completely going to replace a phone or a tablet, at least for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
So I think Apple's still going to want to be in that market. And I feel like a folding phone, if you could get it right, it makes sense. Who doesn't want a bigger screen, or who doesn't want something more compact if it can fold to be more compact? And then still have the advantages of having the bigger hardware. So I think Apple would do it. And they can price it so high, they'd love to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, my gosh, they would. Can you imagine? That's one thing that scares me, how much that thing would cost. But yeah, real quick story time. I was at the mall the other day near the Apple store, and man, the iMac is just, I just like the color and everything. And I started thinking about the kitchen PC again. I'm like, I want to do it, but I just can't pull the trigger on it because it doesn't make any sense. I would rarely use it. I just like the way it would look on my kitchen island.
Looks so nice.
And I even played around with it. It's kind of nice. It's just a nice experience. Yeah. It's just nice. I don't know. I like that iMac.
I think you're going to be spending a lot of money in the next couple of months, and then
I hope not. Because listen, the iPhone 13 does not actually excite me in any significant way. I'm going to make a video about why you should wait. But there's nothing that like excites me about it. But I'll probably end up getting it, you know, for content reasons, and I don't know, just cause I guess. But yeah, it's not anything about that phone that excites me. And I think the next time I might even be excited about a phone is about the iPhone would be when it gets rid of the notch. I think that's the next time I'll be like excited. And then beyond that, it's like, well, what else is I'm folding, I guess. If they ever do a fold up, maybe I'll be excited about that. But beyond that, like, I don't know. Like, I'm kind of, what can I get excited about? I don't know.
I wonder how far we are away from like a notchless iPhone. Oh, Steve got the blue iMac. It's nice, right? Yeah. That's one of the interesting things with this new Fold, and we didn't really talk about it too much, was that camera in the screen. Because it is an in-screen camera.
So I did look at it. So that was one of the things I saw at Best Buy. It was kind of cool because I had like a white screen up, and it's cool when you turn on the camera, turn it off, it almost like it disappears. It's actually, I like that. And then I looked at the quality on the screen, and it looked okay. Now I expected trash quality, but it actually looked okay. It was fine. It's not something you want to take a whole bunch of selfies with, I don't think, which is unfortunate because that is the screen that that's the actual thing you can use to look at what's going on. I think it's not a selfie phone. I don't think that's the point of it. But watching that disappear, I kind of got excited. I'm like, oh, because people know I love an uninterrupted display, man. That's why I love the OnePlus 7 Pro. Still this day, I still have it. I'm all about uninterrupted display. When I saw that, Greg, I'm gonna tell you something. I got excited.
Yeah. I think you're right. Like on a foldable phone, like I said before, it's like it's got a rear-facing camera and it has two front-facing cameras technically, right? Because if it's in the phone mode, there's another camera on the front there. So that's probably what you're going to take selfies with and stuff like that. Realistically, when it's unfolded, you'll probably take a video call. If the quality is a little bit worse, you probably don't care all too much, right? It's like, whatever. But for something like an iPhone, like Renee's saying, you look at the camera inside of the Fold 3, and Apple probably would not ship something that is worse in quality just to get that uninterrupted display. It's a sacrifice that you couldn't do on a normal phone. On the folding phone, you could do it because, again, there's cameras to replace that. But on like a normal iPhone, I don't think they'd want to take a hit in the front-facing quality camera just to have that. I think clearly they've proven that they'd rather have the biggest cutout they can if they could put all the technology in there. So we're probably still years away from that ever coming out. But it's interesting how the Fold does it because they're using AI to kind of clean up the picture after the fact to make it more usable. And I think I saw a video, I think it was MKBHD saying like he could see like the processing happening. Like if you like took a picture and like looked at it, he could see like what was getting cleaned up from like the preview image. So it's interesting how they're like, maybe in a couple of years, like the AI algorithms that they're using on the cameras could like solve these issues from losing that quality.
So I 100% believe you can, because all you have to do is go on YouTube and see these 4K AI upscales of music videos and stuff like crazy. Like I actually just watched a thing right literally as we were starting, Metal Gear Solid 2 trailer from E3 from back in 2000, upscaled to 4K through AI.
Oh, really?
And that looks pretty cool. But even like Michael Jackson old videos at 4K 60, which was obviously never filmed at 4K 60, and using AI, 100% AI will be able to clean that up. So it's just we're in a really interesting place where you don't even need like a great lens anymore to get a really good picture. You just need the right software. But that's been the case for a little bit here because the Pixel line of phones for the longest time had the best picture quality, but it wasn't because the lens was anything particularly amazing. It's that the software was kind of doing all the cool things to make it a better image.
Yep.
Yeah. So anything else we want? I know today was going to be kind of a shorter show anyway. Is there anything else going on that we want to talk to these people about, or do we want to do Aftercast, or what are we doing, Greg? What are we doing?
We can go into Aftercast. I think we covered it. I think we covered the Samsung stuff.
Yeah, it looks like we may not be here next weekend, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe
Okay.
we'll have to do an earlier show or something, but I'll discuss that with you later.
Yeah. Well, regardless, we're always here. You can always reach out to us. Hey, by the way, any emails coming or anything? Because we actually specifically asked last week for emails or anything like that.
I didn't see anything. So
All right. Just want to make sure.
We always get a ton of spam, so it is hard to kind of go through this stuff. Like if you want it to win from Judith, they got $30 from awards for us, apparently, Travis. So
probably all the real emails in the spam folder.
Yeah, you would think so at this point. No, I'm scrolling through. It doesn't look like.
Yeah. All right, that's fine. But you always can leave us an email. We have email links in the description, which is why we have so much spam. Also, you can leave us a voicemail, and we'll play them back in the next couple of next week or so, or whenever we come back. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us. Of course, for people in the live stream, we'll do a little bit of Aftercast. But if you're listening to the audio podcast, we thank you so much. Make sure to leave us a comment or something in our rate us up real good in the Apple Podcast. If you're listening to Apple Podcast, we need that. We used to be so famous, and we're not so famous anymore. Anyway. He's Greg. I'm Travis. This is GadgetCast. And I have stopped recording. The Aftercast is live for the next couple of minutes as we take your questions and do whatever we do. What are we doing? Greg, why are you not feeling 100%?
Oh, yeah. I think it's because of the awful food I ate yesterday. So I'm not feeling... My stomach's been bothering me like all day, and I feel really out of it.
I think Renee asked this question before in another...
Poutine.
This is such a good... I wanted that poutine. It looked good.
It was good. It's good.
If you could take over a non-tech channel on YouTube for one video, what it would be, and what video would you make? See, the thing is, when you say take over, I would need the creator to help me with it. It might be Casey Neistat. That's kind of a really easy answer just because he's such a big YouTuber. I'm trying to think if there's other channels that I watch a lot of different channels, but his is one that comes right to mind just because of the way he shoots it. His storytelling is so dope that I would like to do a video on his channel, but I wouldn't be able to do it. I can't do it. I'm too lazy to do the things that I do. B-roll is a hassle for me. So I would need Casey to do everything and direct me, but I would want to, something like that. What would you do?
My answer is gonna stink. I don't think I want to. Like, I think same as you. I don't want to take over anyone else's channel because I don't want to ruin their channel. Whatever I put up out there. So I'll pick someone I don't like, and then I'll make a video for them.
There we go. What do you think will be announced in September?
Oh wait, I changed my answer. I'll take over Mr. Beast channel, and
there you go.
I'll give myself something nice. There
we go.
Change my answer.
That's actually a really good answer. What do you think will be announced? I think we're going to look at iPhones. Are we getting a new Apple Watch too? Probably.
Yeah, of course.
Apple Watch,
I think iPhones, new Apple Watch, new AirPods, possibly new iPad Mini would be cool.
I love the new iPad Mini. So normally I would say no, but I actually am very curious on this new Pixel. So I will say I am cautiously optimistic about it, which may be the first time I've ever said that about a Pixel.
Yeah, same. I think we covered that the last show. I'm the same way. This one's really exciting for multiple reasons. It looks like Google's finally like focusing on a complete vision for the Pixel, where like the last 2 years especially, a lot of mixed messaging, like saying one feature so important in the next phone, completely dropping it in the next phone. The messaging was so bad. I'm hoping this time they got like a clear vision and the phone looks cool. Their own custom chips. and I'm excited to see where that leads them.
Oh, take over. Didn't you say something about a prank channel? You told me about your secret channel you wanted to do. I forget what it was.
Yeah, I do have a.
What is a pitch?
Prank channel.
Would you do pitch meeting? Do you know what that is?
I don't know what that is. What is that?
I don't know. Is that a thing? I don't know. Looks like New Pixel have some great new cameras. I mean, it always does, John. I expect that's the one thing they will do. Scouted approaches before, yeah. So I mean, we'll see what happens. There's at least a couple more months of some fun stuff. Every version of base, I know exactly. Yeah, it's really kind of funny. I mean, that is kind of true. Apple at one or two times did the same thing, but they did it on a sly way. Like when I told you when I bought the iPad 3, which almost didn't exist. If you really think about it, that thing had barely existed between the 2 and the 4. I got the iPad 3, and like 5 months later, the iPad 4 came out. I'm like, what just happened? And you couldn't find the iPad 3 anywhere on Apple site. Like it never existed. In one day, it went from being the best iPad to not existing in less than a year. If you don't believe me, look it up. The difference between the iPad 3 and 4, it happened within like 6 to 7 months. It was something stupid. I was so upset. So upset. No custom chip for Google isn't a full custom chip. It's very small. This is true. Premiere Final Cut Pro. You can go talk about that for years. I think we're the wrong people to ask about that. Oh, on Screen Rant. Oh, I haven't seen it. I'll check that out. Ryan George's series for Screen Rant. I'll check that out. When I discovered a series from Screen Rant. Oh, look at everyone's. Okay. Will be the rank of Dimensity 12, but not bad, but not true flagship plus or AI course. It doesn't need to be whatever the heck a true flagship is anymore. It doesn't even have to be. It just has to be. It needs to be priced appropriately. Oh my bag. Yes, you got the iPad 3 too. Yeah, it was terrible, but it didn't seem like it had a GPU. Renee, at the time, I was opening up websites and Facebook. I didn't need nothing beyond that. What was so bad about it? I never understood why they so quickly swapped. I was so upset by that. I don't understand what. I don't even know. Like, you'd have to educate me on that, Renee, because I don't understand. I just remember I had that thing. I was excited because I think it was the first Retina display iPad, I believe.
Yeah,
it was a little bit thicker than the other ones. And then all of a sudden the 4 came out. I'm like, what happened? Whatever. All right. Well, I think we got pretty much caught up. I think I want to shoot this video. I'm tired of these terrible views. So I think I want to throw something up that might actually get something. Oh, it couldn't quite handle Retina. It was nice. Oh, was it? Maybe that's why they quickly swapped over. That's interesting. Huh. I did not know that. But then again, back at the time, even though I was a tech head, I wasn't like trying to get too technically involved with like understanding that aspect of it. I just knew that it was a Retina display. It looked better and I liked it. I don't know. What was your first video about? Your channel initially about? Your first? Oh, okay. Well, Greg, what was your first video about? See, the thing is like that's a trick question because I've done a couple of first videos. But what was your like quote first video, Greg?
I think it's still up on my channel. I should probably like delete it, but I think the first video is I opened like a figure of Solid Snake. I think that was my first video. It wasn't even tech. I don't know.
It was a video about Solid Snake.
Yeah, I got like a figure and I like opened it up. I unboxed a figure. I was like, this is cool. I think. I think that was my first video.
You should go look at it. Oh, I didn't know that, Renee. That's interesting. Mine. Mine. I think you can still see it. Well, I mean, I did a couple of things. So I actually had brought back my podcast briefly right before I decided to eventually I took a year off and then came back and did the tech thing. If you're talking about this particular channel, I believe it was my review.
This bottom comment. Go ahead.
Well, hold on. Let me finish my answer first. Settle down.
I got upset.
Yeah, settle down. I don't get ahead of us, Greg. So it's actually a review of what was an in-car Alexa thing by I got it from a friend of mine who worked, I think it was at Anchor or whatever. So that's what that was. Thank you. Greg is wet behind the ears, but I ever had a BlackBerry. I've never owned a BlackBerry. At the time they were too expensive and I didn't really need one because they were for productivity. But did you?
Oh yeah. My first smartphone was a BlackBerry Storm. A BlackBerry Storm. That was pretty bad smartphone.
My first smartphone was a Sidekick. I love those.
Okay. The BlackBerry Storm, by the way, was I think the first BlackBerry that didn't have like a keyboard. It was like a touchscreen competitor to the iPhone. I didn't know. It was actually a gift, but I had no control over that purchase. I much would have rather had an iPhone back then. The iPhone was weird back then because you could only get out on like AT&T. So,
Either you ever an intro to you vid? To either of you ever an intro to you vid? Oh, do we ever do like an intro? No, yeah, no. So I just put out videos. I'm like, no one cares who I am. Psychic 2.
no.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. It was a good little Q&A session. That was fun. All right, well, let me get I gotta get this audio over to him so he can put it out for tomorrow or whatever. And I need to hopefully start shooting this video so I can get some views, which would be nice. So everybody, thank you so much for joining us. Of course, we'll be back soon. Oh, and everyone tell 504 happy birthday. His birthday was yesterday. We appreciate 504 always being very supportive.
Yes, the Storm had the push screen, which I kind of liked at the time. I got to be honest, but I didn't really know any better. So
pushing the screen, baby. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for your time. We'll see you guys and gals next time. Peace and love. Peace and love.
Bye-bye.